Have you faced some big challenges in your life? You are not alone. Being inspired by others who have faced similar challenges is what helps shine light on your path. And here are those stories. Hi, I'm Greg Crawford, and welcome to the Challenge to Triumph Show. All right, welcome to another episode of the Challenge to Triumph Show. I'm here with a friend of mine who I met about, I think it was a year and a half ago to 2 years ago. Britton. He's from Great Britain. Great guy. He has a really great story. Actually, he took me through his story when we first connected. I was going through some stuff that he was actually helping me with over the call. Liam works with FitPros, and he helps them build businesses that they love, they enjoy, they could thrive on. He's got a system for that, and I'll give you all his details at the end of the interview. But Liam, I'm not going to get too much into his story because I'm going to let Liam himself tell the story. So Liam, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, Greg. Just want to say thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be on the show and to kind of share my story with your listeners. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, man. So before we begin, I always want to ask the question is, name one book that has had an impact on your life. I know it might be tough to name just one, but if you could just name one, that'd be great.
I'll be honest, I'm not a huge reader. Never read much at school. But there is one particular book which really did have a great impact on my life, and it's a book I'm not sure if anyone would have mentioned this because it's not business related at all. It's called "You Can Heal Your Life" by Louise Hay. Very,
Hay book.
very,
Okay.
yeah, very powerful book about working on yourself on the inside, and so many amazing, bits of information in there. It's awesome, incredible book.
I was just on the Hay House website because I'm kind of like, there's a few like authors there now or speakers that I've been following really closely. You ever hear of Dr. Joe Dispenza?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've been getting into him now, and he's got some pretty amazing stuff with like changing your minds and your habits and stuff. And then I'm also like looking at the Hay House, like in general, as like a, I don't know the exact direction of Challenge to Triumph yet, but I'm kind of like modeling it off of Hay House a little bit. So it's a little bit part self-help, a little bit part business and health. So Liam, you ready to get real, raw, honest, and messy?
Absolutely. That's why I'm here.
All right, buddy. So let's take us back to, let's go back to where you started. You were a personal trainer in England.
Okay, cool. So I qualified as a fitness instructor whilst being at college at 16 years old. And that kind of led me into a part-time job as a fitness instructor. Before I got involved in the fitness industry, you know what happens when you're 16. You start, lifting weights and trying to bulk up, and that's kind of because I was a really skinny kid, right? I was really tall. I'm 6'5", right? And I've always been the tallest.
I forgot you were really tall.
Yeah, everyone does. But when they meet me, they're like, "Oh my God, you're so tall."
Yeah.
So I was really skinny and slim as a kid, and I lacked in confidence. So I started lifting weights, and that kind of got me thinking, okay, I want to be in the fitness industry. So got my qualification as a fitness instructor, took a part-time job in a gym. And then at 18, when I finished my diploma, I then went and worked at a local sports centre, as we would call it in the UK, and got a full-time job as a fitness instructor there. And I kind of learnt my trade for a few years, working with clients, understanding how the industry works, getting some responsibility. And but eventually I chose to become a freelance PT at 21, and that kind of opened me up to being an entrepreneur for the first time. I didn't really know what I was getting into at the time, but I took the plunge and just went for, I want to create a life on my terms. And, it was, on from there basically. And that's how I really got started.
And then, is that when you opened your first studio?
Yeah. So that didn't come for about another 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think what I'll share straight away is one of the reasons why I wanted to start creating a life based on what I wanted. And I understood that life was very short because at 21, in October 2008, I lost my dad to a motorcycle accident, which, as you can imagine, just hit me and my family like a ton of bricks. And it up until that point, I was quite lazy in a way because I just always did enough. Like I'd always just do enough at school to get an average grade, or just do enough at work so I could then just clock off and go home. But when that happened, it kind of just really shook me up and it really woke me up.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that life was really short. You only got one life and you need to do something with it. And that's what kind of inspired me to start living on my terms. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make something of my life. And from there, I spent 5 or 6 years working very, very hard, because all I wanted was a fitness business that could work without me. That was the goal. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to build a business that could make money, that didn't require me in the business all of the time. That was the dream. And
I think that's every fit pro's dream.
yeah, I think so too. Because I work with a lot of fitness professionals, and what do they want? Majority of them is they want more freedom, more time, more money, right? And that was a dream for me. I wanted to be able to build a business that could work on its own, and I could go on holiday, for example, and still make money. That's what
Yeah.
I wanted to do. So,
So you were pretty close with your dad then.
well, this is the thing, and as we go on into this story, this will make more sense. But um, I had a good relationship with my dad as a kid. And then as I started to get older, my mum and dad split up when I was like 12, 13. So my dad moved out, and, I still had a good relationship with him then. But as I got older into my teens, naturally, as a teenager, you then have the choice whether to go and see him on a weekend. And, I was then choosing not to a lot of the time because I was going out with friends and, doing what teenagers do. And then by the time I got to 21, my relationship with him had really deteriorated. So straight away, when my dad passed and the accident happened, I immediately felt a lot of shame and a lot of guilt around not having the relationship with my dad that I wanted to.
Right.
And there was part of me that, for, my dad wasn't very open with his feelings, and my dad was really tough on me. And there was, I never got that feedback from him. Like I can't ever remember a time where he told me he loved me and he was proud of me, ever.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's like when he passed, I thought, right, I've got to prove that I'm a worthy son and I'm a son to be proud of. Right. And I kind of had to, like, in my mind, I had to prove to him that, I was a success. And that's what kind of really drove me into my work to prove that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, there was some type of void you were trying to fill.
Hmm.
You never really got to fill it while he was alive. So, um, yeah, you want to continue filling that void, and hopefully he's watching down and seeing what you're doing.
Yeah, that was the idea, that the more successful I could become, the more proud that he would be of me. That was the idea in my head.
Right.
Um, I basically worked ridiculously hard through my 20s. Like, most 20-year-olds, they'll go on holidays with their mates, their friends, go and party, do all that kind of stuff, right? I didn't at all. My 20s, I look back at my 20s now and I can't, it's just a blur. It just went so fast, right? Because I was working from the age of 21 to about 28. It was non-stop grind. It was
Hmm.
grind, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. I didn't really do much outside of work. Um, it was all about business. It was all about making money. I couldn't hold down a relationship to save my life, right? And because I was just hell bent on being successful, making money, and proving to my dad that he was proud of me in a
Yeah,
way.
it was
Yeah.
like an obsession almost.
Oh, it was absolutely. Like you said earlier, I had a void. I I just had this hole inside of me. I just felt like I had this grey cloud following me the whole time. I had a hole inside of me, and I just thought that once I get to a certain place, right? Once I get there with all the money and all the holidays and the business that can run on its own, then the grey cloud will clear and the sun will beam down on me, and I'll be
Mhm.
happy, I'll be joyful, I'll be peaceful, I'll be all of those things.
Is that
Um,
is that what happened?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Um, so before we get to that point, I'll
Yep.
skip back a little bit because there's 6 years in that kind of process of getting to the point where I did open my studio. So, first of all, I was like a one-on-one personal trainer. You know, that was never going to be a business that could run without me. Then I went in and did what most PTs do and open up a boot camp and in my local town. And I had this idea of like multiple locations and people doing them for me, and that was the idea. But I made some really big errors, massively undercharging for the boot camp, wasn't making enough money, and was still trying to open multiple locations, and it just got ridiculously bad. I didn't really have a clue what I was doing. I was just guessing,
Hmm.
and it, just throwing at the wall and just hoping it would stick, right? Um, but to cut a long story short, I ended up burnt out, um, ill. I got taken. I don't know what the equivalent is in the US, but I got taken to small claims court. I don't know what that would be in the US, but basically, the gym where I was running one of the boot camps like took me to court because I owed them money, basically. So I had to go and sort that out.
Like a non-compete? Was that it?
Sorry.
Was it a non-compete or something?
No, no, no. I was like operating a boot camp inside of a gym,
Oh,
and basically, I just hadn't paid the rent for them,
oh, okay.
right? So, and they were asking me for the money. Obviously, I didn't have it, so they then took it legal,
Yeah.
right? And so I got a letter through my door saying I've been taken to small claims court, and I'm like, oh, it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was 7 weeks behind rent at home.
Hmm.
Um,
When it rains, it
Luckily,
pours, right?
sorry.
When it rains, it pours.
Oh, it was a real rough time. It was. I look back at my business career, and that was the hardest time for me. My energy was gone. I was in debt. I had no money. I owed trainers money. I owed clients money. I was being taken to court. I was basically, I'd done this story on Facebook the other day, but I was living off value baked beans and liver. That's all I was eating.
Wow.
It was that bad. It was that bad. And the tip off point was it was my little sister's birthday. Her birthday is May the 29th, and I remember, and I wanted to buy her a birthday present, and all I had to my name was like £5, right? And I couldn't even buy her a birthday present, right? I could afford a card. It was either buy her a present or eat. It was like that, and I thought, I just can't do this anymore. So I just shut it all down, shut the whole thing down. Kindly, my brother bailed me out of debt, but he's 5 years younger than me, so I'm like 25, he's 20, he's got a really successful online business.
Mm-hmm.
And you already feel crap, if I'm allowed to say that, right? You already feel crap, and then your little brother's bailing you out of debt, right? How bad can it get, right? I was lucky that I had a brother to do that for me, but at the time I was like, oh, my little brother's bailing me out of debt, like, oh, God, so
Sure.
I got out of debt, and I actually went back to employment for 9 months to get my energy back, number one.
Yeah, right.
And get some stability back in my life, and just get myself financially stable, and
Take a break.
take a break, right? And sometimes you just need to do that. Like I speak to entrepreneurs who are burnt out, and they're like trying to make the business work, and I'm like you're so burnt out, like you just need to take a rest. Just take a rest, and then you can come back. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're quitting. You're just taking a little rest just to recover.
It's a great
But it's the
point.
best thing it's the best thing I ever did, because I worked for LA Fitness, and I worked in the sales department, and I actually learned how proper business works with regards to numbers, and being really focused on numbers and understanding where the business is. And also from a sales point of view as well. I learned sales for the first time. So I really learned a lot from being employed and working with larger businesses. And then that's what gave me the confidence to then go and give it another go. And that's when I started doing small group training, which is like groups of like 6 to 8 people at a time. And that's what eventually that became very successful quite quickly. And a year later, in like 2013, I opened up my fitness studio. And then it got to a point where I was earning about £5,000 a month, and we had a good solid client base. But I was still in that mode, that trying to prove to my dad that I'm a success, and I'm this and I'm that. So I wanted to take it to a new level. So I hired a business mentor, and we scaled it to, within the first 30 days, to £15,000 in a month. And then eventually we went to £30,000 in a month. So we only had 1,000 square feet, and we were pumping out, one across 2014, we did just shy of £200,000, which I look back now and I think that's pretty incredible, considering we only had 1,000 square feet. But to come back to the story, I then, we were pumping out 30,000 a month. I had a team who were fully looking after my business. I was going to amazing places. By this time, I'd actually joined Tony Robbins' Platinum program, which I'll talk about in a sec.
Okay.
So I was going to amazing places like Fiji. I went to Iceland. I went to Canada. I went to all these cool places, doing all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I had the new apartment. I had the new car. I had all the stuff. Right. I had all the stuff that we get told in society that will make you happy. Right. But if anything, I felt worse. I felt worse. I felt like I still felt empty. I was stressed. I was like pulling my hair out, going like, this is not right. Like, why do I feel like this? Right. And there was a turning point. I went to Thailand for a mastermind event with my mentor, who helped me scale my business up. And at that event, we did this meditation, and I got asked a question: what's your biggest fear? Right? What's your biggest fear? And at first I was like, being all macho, like, I haven't got any fears. I've got nothing that holds me back. Right. But then something popped up in my head. Right. And I wrote down, and it was very scary for me to write down. I remember I was like, oh, this is really uncomfortable. But I wrote down, Dad was proud of me. That's my biggest fear. Right. And I wrote that down. And, when I first became an entrepreneur and I told you all that stuff, I didn't know consciously that that's what I was trying to do, trying to prove to my dad that I was enough. Now I'm looking back, I know that's what I was trying to do, but I didn't know consciously that is what I was doing. So that was the first time that I realized that I still had hang-ups around the death of my dad. And that was 7 years later. I thought I'd fixed it. I thought I was fine. I thought I'm past it now. It was 7 years ago. Right. I thought it was all good. Right. But as soon as I write that down, tears started coming to my eyes, and I started getting, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Right. And, I was holding it in. I could feel myself holding it in. It was like a volcano that looked like it felt like it was going to come out of me. But at that event, there was tears coming out, but I managed to kind of keep it together at the same time. And I said to my mentor, I was like, what do I do? Like, I've got this stuff around, I thought, I come to that event thinking I need to learn how to get to 50,000 a month so I can be happy. But then I left knowing that that's what I need to sort out with. That's the real issue in my life that I need to sort out. That's the core issue. And I don't want to run away from it anymore. And I said to my mentor, what do I do? Like, how do I fix this? And at the time, he was a platinum partner with Tony Robbins. I'm sure your listeners know who Tony Robbins is.
Yeah, that's like a $60,000 program, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it was like $65,000 it was for the platinum partnership. Right. And I was like, what? I can't afford that. Right. It's like crazy investment. It's like the biggest investment of my life. But basically, all the other guys at the mastermind were like, Liam, you just need to make it happen. You need to stop putting it off. And So I put down a deposit of $15,000 and then paid the rest in installments. Could I afford the installments? Not really, but I made it work. So I'm now a platinum partner with Tony Robbins. And the first trip, funnily, was a financial event of all things in Canada. Right. And I thought, this is a bit ironic, but okay, I'll go anyway. So I went to Canada and I got introduced. My mentor who got me onto the platinum partnership, he was with me and he had a mutual friend there. So I went to Tony Robbins and, I did the course and that was great. About day 2, I met this guy. Called Anil Gupta. And here's another book for you. It's called Immediate Happiness. He's a best-selling author of Immediate Happiness. Another amazing book, very straight to the point.
What's it called?
Immediate Happiness.
Oh, Immediate Happiness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And basically that is what he did for me. Immediate happiness. Wow. Anyway, I didn't know who he was. And I got introduced to him. And Simon, my mentor, Simon, said, I think, Anil would be a great person for you to speak to. And I was like, okay. And so he said to me, okay, Liam, what's going on? And I started talking a little bit about my dad. And he stopped me about halfway through my second sentence. And he said, Liam, don't worry. We will sort that out today with a 15-minute conversation. Right? And I looked at him like, what? Like, no. In my mind, I felt really effed up in my mind. Right? And I've just paid out for 12 months with Tony Robbins. And you're telling me you can fix this in 20 minutes or 15 minutes. Right? I was like, this guy's crazy. Right? He doesn't know me. He doesn't know what I'm going through. Right? He has no idea what's going on in my head. And I didn't believe him. And I just laughed. I just laughed in his face, and I was like, all right, all right. I was like joking along. I thought he was joking. He was like, no, 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 I'm serious. I'm serious. You give me 15 minutes of your time, we'll deal with that today. I was like, okay, okay, I'm game. I'll do it. Anyway, so we spent the day. We was in Whistler, so we spent the day. Spent the day skiing with him, right? And we had some fun and some, good laugh. And then we stopped and we went in like the jacuzzis and stuff. And then he said to me, he was like, "So Liam, just tell me what's going on." Right. So I started talking about my dad and how I felt, and all this, how I felt sad that I didn't have a good relationship at the end of his life, and I was blaming myself and I'm blaming him, and after about a minute of talking, he just stopped me, and just me saying this, I can feel it coming up at me already, right? Because it was so powerful, and he said to me, he just looked at me in the eye and he just said, "Liam, when are you going to forgive yourself and forgive your dad?" And as soon as he said that, the emotion just erupted out of me. Right, I've got tears in my eyes right now because it just gave me permission to express all of that emotion that I'd been holding on to for so long. And it just erupted out of me and I couldn't stop crying. It felt like I was crying for 3 days. It was so raw.
Mm.
It was just, it was so intense, but he just hit the right button. Right. And it came out, and he took me through like a meditation thing as well at that point as well. So he took me through and he helped me forgive myself, helped me forgive my dad. And one thing that might help the listeners as well, another thing that he said to me that was really powerful. Obviously, my hang up was that I didn't know if my dad loved me or was proud of me. And he said to me, "Okay, Liam, I want you to imagine that you've got an 8-year-old son sitting in front of you right now." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "What do you want for your son?" And I said, "I want him to be happy." And he said, "That's all your dad wants for you." Right? Which, again, set me off.
Yeah.
And also he said, "And do you love that child? And are you proud of that child unconditionally?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Your dad feels exactly the same for you." And instantly I realized that I didn't have to do anything to be loved by my dad. And I realized that he was proud of me. And it changed my life, to cut a long story short. It changed my life, and I instantly felt this peace rush over me. The way I explain it is like my life was black and white before that happened. When my dad died, my life went to black and white, right? But soon, when he helped me, it turned back to Technicolor. It was like being reborn. I know people use that term lightly, but it was like being reborn. I felt like I just stepped into my life again, and it just this wave of peace came over me, and I just felt totally different. The weight off my shoulders had gone. I wasn't worried about chasing money and chasing success, and I felt enough just as I am, and I didn't need to prove anything to anybody. And it was that event that I decided that I was going to let go of the studio, and I was going to move on to a new chapter of my life. People say to me, "Oh, Liam was making so much money," and da 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 da. I just didn't care. I didn't care. I was like, I'm stepping into a new part of my life. That was the old me. That business has been built on pure pain, right? I don't want it anymore. I don't care about the money. I will make something work. So I went home, and that was the first thing I did. Put it up for sale, and then within 3 or 4 months, it'd been sold. And another thing amazing happened. Like in that April, so that was in the February. That April, I went to another event at UPW, and then I met my amazing partner Samantha, who I'm with today. This is 3 years ago. If Anil hadn't helped me with that, there's no way I probably wouldn't have met her. There's no way.
You wouldn't have been ready to meet her.
No, exactly. The universe wouldn't have put us together, right? But the universe has gone, hey, Liam, you're now ready because you have learnt your lesson, right? You have learnt the lesson that we have been trying to serve you for so long, right? And you're now ready to meet the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And so I met Sam in the April, and then I just took 6 months off, traveled the world, went to some amazing places, enjoyed my life for the first time for a number of years, and sold my business. And like I say, took some time off, and that really was the biggest thing that's ever happened to me in my life.
What is now you mentioned like the meditation you went through. Is there any resources for anyone listening that can like go through a similar meditation?
Yeah, absolutely. Like after having some months off, because I'd been so impacted by the power of forgiveness, and it's something that's massively overlooked. And, it's just a word thrown about. But when you truly forgive yourself and the people, if you're angry at other people, it's like taking poison, expecting the other person to die. That's what it is. Okay. It only hurts you. It doesn't hurt them. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is allowing yourself to be free, right? Because when you're angry at people and you've got a lot of resentful energy towards someone, you're just trapped in your own prison, right? And, like I say, forgiveness doesn't mean that the other person wins, right? It's about you winning. It's about you winning and being free, right? And that's what I learned about forgiveness. So
yeah, because when you hold on to things like that, you're definitely not winning.
No,
you're actually letting them win when you continue to hold
exactly.
on. I know, I've been there.
So
it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. So that's why I think you have to be a little more proactive.
Our ego mind wants to hold on and be angry at that person because we want to punish them, right? But you're only punishing yourself, literally.
Or frustrated and angry with yourself.
Absolutely.
Where you can't forgive yourself. You keep beating yourself up over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not making any progress because you just keep beating yourself up, and you end up losing your voice.
Yeah,
so
I just wanted to say that I was actually talking about this on a Facebook Live today about forgiving yourself. And if you're, what you have to remember is that you're human, You're going to get things wrong.
Speak for
You're going to
yourself,
mess up.
buddy.
Sorry?
I said,
Speak
speak
for
for
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah. So, you're only human. You're going to get things wrong. You're going to upset people. You're going to mess up. I'm sure there's things in your life that you regret. But the more you beat yourself up for those things, the more those things will probably happen again in the future. A lot of people live in the rear view mirror. And what do I mean by that? If you're driving a car, and you're looking in the rear view mirror, what's going to keep happening? You're going to crash. And you're going to keep crashing, crash, 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 crash. You're never going to get anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
right? You've got to take your eyes off the rearview mirror. Wipe the slate clean. Give yourself so you can get your eyes back on the road and you can see where you're going. Once I had that break after selling my fitness studio, because forgiveness was such a powerful thing in my life, I decided that I wanted to give that gift to as many other people as possible. So I spent the next year talking at events, speaking the message on Facebook and social media, working with other men in particular. And basically what happened is I actually created a forgiveness meditation, which combines stuff that I learned from Anil and also stuff that I learned from that You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay book. And I brought together like this powerful meditation that I actually presented it at a event in New York to about 50, 60 people. And like, wow, the energy in the room was, and I had so many people come up to me and talk to me about it after. And I've got this meditation, which I'm obviously very happy to provide for your listeners if they wanted to go through that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I could put that in the notes somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whoop. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, no problem. I'm it was a gift given to me, and I'd love to give it as a gift to your listeners.
That's great, man. Liam, powerful story, man.
Yeah.
So what are you up to right now?
So right now, I am now coaching fitness professionals. I basically, the reason why I'm doing this right now is because I'm seeing an increase of online gurus, if you like, pushing to get PTs to build online businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's totally cool. I've got nothing against that. But, there seems to be this idea that if you want more freedom and you want to make more money and you want more time, that you have to go online as a fitness professional to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I totally disagree. I totally feel that there's a lot of personal trainers, a lot of fitness professionals who love the face-to-face interaction with training clients, but they're not getting what they want out of the business. So they're not getting the kind of money, the time, the freedom that they want. So
Right.
my mission is to help business coach fitness professionals to show them how to start building a business more based on their terms. Right. So they can start, if for example, they want to have a couple of evenings off a week to see their family or have a weekends off, I can help them build a business that will fit around them. It's just that a lot of fit pros build businesses and they just go into business thinking, I just need to work as many hours as possible, earn as much money as I can. Everything's going to be good. But, a year down the line, they're doing hours they don't like. They've got clients they don't like. They're not seeing their family. They're not earning the kind of money they want. And then they start thinking, is this really for me? Right. So I kind of scale everything back for them and I help them rebuild something that fits around them rather than them fitting around their business, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You have the experience and you've made the mistakes that you can help them avoid making. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really good thing. And there's a lot of people that want the face-to-face interaction. They don't want an online program. So, there's always going to be a need for that. Where can people follow you or, see what you're up to?
So, just to tell you a little bit of what I've got. So the best way probably to connect with me is on Facebook. You can go facebook.com/liam.m.britton.
Okay.
And my website is smartfitbiz.co.uk, where you can, if you go /bootcamp, so smartfitbiz.co.uk/bootcamp, you can enroll on my 30-day bootcamp, which basically shows you what I was just describing. So show fitness professionals how to build a business based on their terms, earning more money, working less, more freedom, and that's totally free. As a totally free resource, it's my best stuff. There's no upsells. It's really, really great content. It's cost me thousands in my own development, but it's now a free resource. So I definitely encourage any fitness professionals listening to go over there and enroll onto that program.
Okay. Well, I'll put that link in the notes as well, along with
Awesome.
that meditation for anyone that I'm sure a lot of people need to go through it and, go through their own process and get some real value out of that. Liam?
I think if people have connected to this story and feel emotion coming up for them when I'm talking about the forgiveness, then it's clearly something that they can choose to work on as well. So 100% go through that forgiveness meditation.
Liam, thanks, buddy, for being on the show. Thank you for being honest and real and and telling your story.
It's been my pleasure, and it's been great telling my story, and I hope it helps.
All right, buddy. Well, that's a wrap. And if you got a lot of value out of the show, please follow us on iTunes, leave a review, hopefully a positive one, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Hey, if you love the show, make sure to keep following us on iTunes. It's the Challenge to Triumph show. And also head over to challenge2triumph.com and, follow the journey. Stay a part of the journey. I'll be sending you some really valuable emails and keeping you up to date with who the next guest will be on. So let's stay connected. And if you got a lot of value out of this show, please go over to iTunes and leave a positive review. It would really help boost the show. And thank you so much for listening. Take care.